Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We do apologize for the delay. Just want to give a few seconds for everyone to just filter in and get connected. All right, welcome everyone. My name is Taya Brown and I'm the Administrative Coordinator at the Temple SBDC. The Temple SBDC helps small businesses start, grow, and succeed. We do this through our no-cost consulting and a variety of our no-cost webinars and training programs like you're joining us today. You're joining us for 7 steps to getting your business noticed by social media, DIY public relations. We are recording today's presentation and a follow-up email will be sent to all attendees. This will include the recording and any additional handouts that may be included in the webinar. We have the chat and the Q&A and chat box open if you have any questions throughout the webinar. Now I will turn over the floor to Jennifer Sherlock.
Hi, everyone. I can see there's 68 participants. So sorry, I don't have a presentation. I'm just going to speak and then I want to take all of your questions. I've been doing it so long, so I know all of the ins and outs, and I can definitely teach you how to do PR from home. I actually want to start a website. I bought it in 2020 called prfromhome.com because I started from home in 2009, and then I ended up having an office from 2010 on. I still have an office. I just work remotely now since COVID, as a lot of us have. And I can definitely email a presentation after. We were having some technology difficulties earlier, so I wasn't sure if this was even happening. I was confused. But I'm just going to go through all of the steps. I'm going to talk for a while, and then I want everyone to ask questions. I wish I could see you, but anyway, number one, this is PR 101. You have to know who you are pitching. That's the utmost of importance. So if you're in finance, or if you're in beauty, or if you're in health, technology, the nonprofit world, you have to build a list for your audience. So I'm not sure what many of you do, but you have to know exactly like who is in your beat, and it changes all of the time. Over the years, I have to keep on track of every reporter at every different station, and not just in the Philadelphia area, but wherever my client has an event or a business. So I have to keep the relationships going. And I started my business in 2010 just with Excel spreadsheets. So I would have, and I still have them actually, we update them all the time. But I also have a system now where I can search contacts in every different beat and actually like get their social media, their email, their phone number. But when you're just starting and bootstrapping, you won't have that luxury. So Excel and Google is all you need. And I would start building it out just, with whatever industry you're in, and target, do different tabs for podcasts, blogs, newspapers, TV, radio, even social media, because sometimes we DM reporters or influencers, because nowadays, if they're not working, and a lot of people are remote, they have their cell phone. So we will tweet at them, we'll DM them on Instagram. I mean, you have to be persistent, but you have to know your audience, because I can't tell you the amount of times that my employees or interns reach out to, say, a business reporter on beauty, or it could be a health reporter on finance. And some reporters really get upset, and I don't blame them. Like, you're supposed to know who you're contacting. So that's one. That's easy. Just be good with Excel and be good with Google and research. I used to be a TV reporter, so I know all about research. So you have to kind of dig and be personable, and don't be afraid to reach out, because that's the only way you'll get a relationship. Number two, writing key messaging. So writing a release or pitch, that's number two. And I learned how to news write because I was in TV, and in college I learned a little bit, but it was really by doing that I learned. So I know how to get a reporter's attention, probably more so than most of you. I know it works because I used to be in that world. So I know how, like, the hook to use to get them interested in your story. But that's why I'm here today. So once I get through all of this, I can help you with your hooks. But basically, you have to, when I was in news, you were told if it bleeds, it leads. So They like things that are controversial. They like things that are sexy. They like things that are over the top, unique. You just have to get their attention. And it's hard nowadays, right? Because there's a million things going on. It's an election year. There's politics at play. So it's like, how do you stand out? So again, without knowing all of your different fields, you want to stay on top of the news because say you're in finance. Well, it's an election year. So stay on top of, different bills that are pending, different tax laws. You want to stay on top of things like if it was a Democratic president or if it were a Republican president, how would it affect your wallet? So it's like you have to think as the news thing. So that's why you have to follow news, whether you're watching TV or getting it on your tablet or your email. You have to stay on top of things because the news cares when it's happening now. So you don't want to, pitch something like irrelevant on an average day. You want to make sure that it's top of mind for, whoever you're targeting. So when you write a release or a pitch, it's who, what, when, where, why. It's just like you're in college and how you learned the triangle or the pizza, the inverted pyramid. It's literally like that. So you have to have the most important information at the top and the least at the bottom. So if you were to take off the bottom of the release or the pitch, you're still left with that hard hitting like 2 to 3 sentences. So again, I'll help coach you through, but you just have to think that it has to be something that stands out, the most important information at the top. Writing leads takes time. If you're not in news, I would practice it and I would just follow everything on social that is, whether it's TV or whether it's the Business Journal or whether it's the Inquirer, like watch how they hook you. That's how I try to teach my interns. Because if you watch like how NBC 10 or Fox hooks you on social media, that's what you want to do when you're doing it yourself, because they are wanting you to click. So you have to write in that mindset to get these reporters, editors, or bookers to want to read your story. Your subject line has to be important, but you want to hit home and you want to hit home like fiercely. You want to hit home right off the top. But I would say like the best way to do that and to learn besides practicing is by following different social media channels and seeing how they hook you. Because think of yesterday, the bridge in Baltimore. I mean, that was everywhere. It's such a sad story, but I mean, it made you click the way they write it. 7 people dead, bridge collapse, possible terrorist attack, even though it wasn't. Power outage. How did the power outage happen? Like they make you click. So I know that's, a lot of your businesses aren't doom and gloom, but you still have to get them to click. So number 3, this goes back into number 1, like building a list organically. You don't need a fancy tool like I was able to acquire over the years. You just need Excel and you just need to know who you're pitching, and you need to be personable and you have to be persistent, but not too persistent because they'll just unsubscribe, block you. I mean, I've seen it because if I've had people work for me and they follow up too many times, some reporters will call you out. So you have to do it in a classy follow-up way. I would say no more than once a week. And if they tell you it's a no, it's a no. I would drop them and I would constantly update your list. Just because, like I said, reporters change beats, they change stations, they change. I mean, it happens all of the time. So it's our job for clients to stay on top of them. So it's something you always have to make sure your list is fresh. And number 4 is the following up. So if you're blasting a press release, so I also use that system Meltwater to blast press releases, but like I tell clients, that isn't what's getting me to get a client coverage. For example, I just got Memories of Margate as a client and they have new ownership. So I did blast it that way. And because that was big news, being that Jerry Blavat was like a local celebrity, a lot of TV and almost every major newspaper and magazine in this area picked it up, but that isn't the norm. Typically, I blast it and then I have to send follow-ups one-on-one. For you, you can use Excel or other kinds of blasting services that are free, or you could BCC. I've seen that happen. I don't advise that, but you can do it. I mean, like, if I were you and I needed to get the message out and I didn't have a big budget, I would perhaps do that. I don't recommend it the most. I would probably use a MailChimp or Constant Contacts, because up to like a certain amount of contacts, it's free. My list is over 15,000 now, so I think it's pretty expensive. I just looked the other day, it was like 270 a month or something like that. So again, it takes time to build up a list, but if I were you, I would blast it in the best way you can. MailChimp, Constant Contact, there's other services out there. And then I would do one-on-one follow-up, because that's where I really get my placements. It's by like reaching out saying, hey, did you get my full press release below? This is happening. Sometimes I give them a brief recap, like who, what, where, when, why, because I want them to be interested. And I get the most engagement and the most replies through one-on-one contact. Number 5, once I get those one-on-one contacts and they're interested, I book it. So for you, it would be booking a Q&A if it's a magazine, if it's a newspaper, it could be booking a TV segment, but they will tell you, the producers will say, okay, can you speak at this time? And they love a success story. So no matter what you do, the best way to backdoor to get you booked is through a success story, someone your business affects. So when I used to be a TV reporter and there was a fire, they would say, we don't care about the fire chief, we want the people displaced. So think about whatever you do, think about the best success stories for your company, because that's the best way to back end you to also get a segment or get yourself known. So if I have, let's think of a recent client that would be good to explain. We'll just use, trying to think of something really exciting, not so boring. Cybersecurity client, say there was a hack. You want to get the person who was hacked. You want to explain that also in your story if you can, or even have a quote for them when you're writing a pitch, because that's what's going to get them the most interested. They always want people affected. The more people affected, the better. I know that sounds awful, but if there was some sort of like hack and it affected a lot of different phones, they would love someone who went through that issue, and then you as the expert would be second. So it's a way that you're still getting press, but you're kind of getting it through one of your clients, and that helps show your success, if that makes sense. So I learned that, I mean, God, years ago, but it's always, that's how you want to tell the story, through someone else's eyes, because then that makes you look good. Once you are able to book a segment for yourself or a Q&A or even a podcast, I have so many clients asking for podcasts now. I have my own podcast, which I'd love to have some of you on, but basically that's a huge thing nowadays. So even for that, once you book yourself, you want to be prepared. You want to make an impression. So after you make an impression and are personable and explain, what your business is, how you're helping people, then you want to be able to post it for more engagement. So whenever we get a client, a TV segment or a podcast, we always share it to across all mediums, because that's how a client gets more engagement. So if we get them on TV, we'll export that MP4, then we'll give it to them to put it on their social media, because some clients will be like, oh, that TV station, no one really sees us. But hey, like, still do it, because you can put it on your social, you can put it in your company newsletter, you can put it on your website. There's so many different ways to spread that engagement. And that's what PR is all about. You want to get your brand known, and you want to do it organically, because organically is better than advertising, because it's considered 3 times the ad value of any ad you would buy. So if we get a client a 5-minute segment on Fox 29, we have systems that tell us, there's like 1 million people that saw it and it's worth $50,000 because it was for 5 minutes at 9 a.m. And then there's other stations that might get a lower following, and then that's why we encourage clients to put it out there. Because sometimes it might be like a channel 17, which is a smaller station, but we still encourage, like, its credibility. When people see PR and you get coverage, it's considered a third-party organic view. Advertising is paid for, so it's not as credible. So we also recommend clients to put an in the news section on their website, because then that will give them tout. It will show to people like, hey, we're getting all this coverage. We're a thought leader in our community. We're a thought leader in our business. It will make an impression. So that is, going down the line, like 7 free ways to do it. There's different tactics that you could do, but you don't honestly need a budget. Basically giving like everything, free away. It comes down to relationships. It comes down to the way you write. It comes down to how comfortable you are being persistent and reaching out. You also, I know today's not on social media, but you also should get more comfortable with social media, because a lot of people are on their social media. It's not going away anytime soon. And there's so many different platforms. LinkedIn, I would say you get the most engagement, but there's TikTok, there's Snapchat, there's Instagram, there's Facebook. And we use all of them. We have to. So I want to encourage you to also make your own videos and get comfortable. And also, don't be afraid to post. Like, even for me, sometimes it's like cringe, like, do I really want to post this? But honestly, content is king. So the more you post, the more people will get to know you and they'll want to follow you if they like your content. But again, I don't want to get off track. I want to make sure I help all of you today, in terms of how you can do it from home and how you can get your brand out there. I'm really good at it. I've been doing it a really long time. I started my business in 2009 and I was a TV reporter before that. I'm definitely like really good at TV segments. So I would love to spend time. I don't think you guys can ask questions except in the chat. So I'm going to go in the chat and see if I can help you all individually. Oh, here we go. I know I was trying to get on for 15 minutes too. Oh gosh, hopefully the audio feed is working. Okay, so let me start with the first question. What if you wanted to target a certain magazine? So again, you want to hit the right editors for magazines. You can honestly Google and find out who the editor is, editor-in-chief. And then if there's different editors for your beat, I'm not sure what you do, but if it's like health, beauty, tech, you want to make sure you hit that reporter or that feature reporter. Some magazines have 90-day lead time. So that is the one vertical that isn't instant. So for example, like TV is like, I can kind of pitch them the night before, the morning of, and still get coverage. Same with radio. But when it comes to magazines, there's a 90-day lead time. So you kind of want to allow that. It depends on the magazine though. And I'm sure if you're targeting a magazine, you know how often it prints or how often digitally it's out there, whether it's monthly, bi-monthly, etc. But you want to think, because sometimes they'll start pitching, for spring and the winter, and they'll start pitching early summer for fall. But I'd have to know a little bit more about your questions about certain magazines, but it kind of goes through the same 7 steps I gave you with writing a release or a pitch, reaching out to the right person, and doing follow-up. The next person asked, my business, I own a PR firm, Jenna Communications. I've had it since 2009, and I help people get on TV, radio, magazine, blogs, get their brand known, and I also do some events and social media. Someone talked about blasting. Okay, so when I use blasting, I mean like a MailChimp, which is a email distribution service, or Meltwater. So when I say blast, like when we use Meltwater, we have like 1,000 press contacts that we will blast the whole press release to, and then do one-on-one follow-ups. And most of my coverage I get is from the one-on-one follow-ups. I also use MailChimp for my newsletter. So today my newsletter is going out. It goes out at the end of the month, every month. And that's a different set of contacts. That's like contacts I've acquired over the years through business. So that goes out to 15,000 people. That's what I mean by blast. It's just sending a mass email basically. And there's different softwares that help you not get in someone's spam box, like a MailChimp or Constant Contacts. And I pay for it, but you can distribute up to a certain amount of contacts for free. Creating a lead. Okay, so creating a lead in PR is a lead sentence, a lead paragraph. It's getting their attention, and there's a way to write it. So I'm really good at it if you just send to me like what your business is, I can tell you how to create a lead, but it would be like Baltimore bridge collapses, killing 7 people. I mean, that's a basic highlight. It kind of goes back to what I was saying about social media and how people can, if you follow enough news organizations, you can see how they write and what makes you click on social media. Think of that. What are you clicking on? That's how you have to write. And hopefully I helped you a little bit, but yeah, I of course can explain some of the jargon. Okay, so what elements would you include in a success story involving community engagement for youth? Honestly, you asked me, would you start with the negative? Yes, absolutely. They love data points. They love any kind of data. So if it were me, I would start with 90, I'm making this up, 90% of inner city youths have guns in Philadelphia. I mean, whatever the stat is, and I would say like gun violence has been at a rise in since COVID in 2020 in Philadelphia, and then go into positives. But this charity or this group is creating a safe enrichment space for teens and then explain how they're doing it. And what also helps are events. So if you have an event where maybe people, I don't know, people can turn in their guns. I'm not sure that's a thing, but let's just say it is. Events always help. So I always tell clients if they don't have like a data point, a stat, have an event because that will help you get press, and also anything charity related and nonprofit related. And they love anything like vets, pets, think in education and awareness. But yeah, unfortunately, I hate to say it, but yeah, I would lead with something negative. If it were me, that's what I would do. Okay, and the person on my podcast, yeah, shoot me an email. I'll give you my information at the end. Commercial cleaning. How can I write leads and pitching ideas for my commercial cleaning business? There's a lot of things. So in COVID, I would have used that and talk about, you know, how you're clearing 99.9% germs. But for now, you'd have to think outside the box. Think of your clients. I'm not sure who your clients are and who are the most successful, who are the happiest with your services and what you've done for them. Why are they happy with your services? And I would explain it in that way, like you're killing like all kinds of dust, allergens, particles that can affect you and your health. And again, that's a good one to start with a stat that like different particles in the air are causing more allergies than ever this spring, but my company is coming through and using X to prevent this. And here's why. Like you have to think in that sort of way. It could also be like organization is a big thing. I just did the home show PR, so anything like organizing was a big thing, and how it, you know, clears people's minds and helps with their wellness. So I'm sure by you cleaning, it's actually helping people day to day on a day-to-day level, and it's making them think clearer and essentially work better. I mean, there's so many different ways to go through it, but you have to think in terms of news instead of advertising. Like, hey, we have, you know, a 7-person team that hits, you know, or targets manufacturing companies in South Jersey. Like that's going to be more advertising. Editorial wants more like news tidbits, how you're helping them. And you have to think in terms of that, like disease. It could even be something with pets, maybe how you're, I don't know if these businesses are pet friendly, but you have to think outside of the box. I've had a lot of malls as clients over the years, and pets were a big thing. So I'm just trying to think like on different ways on how to help you. To get a placement in a month. I would say your prospect list just needs to be like, honestly, it doesn't have to be hundreds. I would say like 20 good contacts, because if you hit the right person in the right beat, there's not going to be a doubt in my mind that you wouldn't get a placement. I mean, I do it all the time, and I have to do it last minute all the time. So you don't need, I mean, people think it takes longer than it does. Let's put it that way. But if you know and you practice how you're writing and you have a good contact list, it's pretty easy. Yeah, those 7 tips I can write up, and I have a presentation. I'm sorry I didn't send it, but I'll send everything to you guys and give you my email. I have a small business where we take care of all the details when someone dies. Okay. Um, I'm trying to think. So that, I mean, I hate to say it, that sounds like a really cool business. Um, and I think we probably need more of that because even with the wealth manager I work with, he has to clean up a lot of like family finance, but it kind of goes one-on-one with that. No one thinks about that. I think you'll do a great job with PR for that. If I learned more a little bit about what the details you mean, then I could help you. But I think that that is something that they would definitely look for that people don't think about on a day-to-day basis, which will help you get news placements. The magazine was Philadelphia Magazine or Mainline Today. Yeah, I have the same contacts. I mean, they change over the years too, but it's the same idea. I'm trying to think. Okay, so you want to get in touch. Okay. So a lot of these over the years it's changed. It used to be just like a lot of editorial and it still is, but some will send you to advertising. So you have to be careful the way you write it. You don't want them just to send you to the ad department, especially if you don't want to pay for it. You want tell them you want editorial, someone like genuinely interested in writing an article about your business. Um, if you want to emerge in the UK or the Europe market, I have to understand what you do, but I would definitely, you can it's the same method. Like if you wanted to target BBC, it's getting those right contacts and pitching them, letting them know you're available on Zoom as well. Like nowadays, even when I book TV segments, unless it's an event like the home show or things like that, they do interviews on Zoom. Um, and I would also think of influencers for international brands because that's huge now. And also like, don't be afraid to post on Facebook groups. I do that. I even did it for my one client recently and I got so much amazing feedback that way. And some press that contacted me from seeing what I posted in Facebook groups to, they wanted the press release from me. So honestly, like you have to think big and you have to be brave and not be shy and post everywhere and not be afraid to DM and reach out to people on Instagram or Facebook and ask them for what you want. Yes, you can put your business here and I can try to help you. Do I sell or share my list? I never have yet. It was actually a lot bigger. It was probably like more like 22 to 30,000, but people unsubscribe over the years. Someone said opening a restaurant called Project Dump and Roll with the mission to raise the consciousness of humanity. I'd have to understand what that mission is, but anything that's, like I said, nonprofit charity based, always, for the most part, if you're targeting the right people, gets press. Is it more effective to get published in a hyperlocal publication or national? I would say it depends what you do, but if your business is local, then hyperlocal is better than national. When I get clients on national TV, like whether it's like Fox, CNN, I've had clients on the Today Show before. I mean, obviously that's a big deal, but I think if your business is local, no one national is going to like come to your business for the most part, unless they live nearby. That's better for credibility and branding, but I would say local if your business is local. Now, if you have a national business or franchise, then that's different. Okay, so someone asked me, they have two businesses, they cover a variety of topics, but began teaching art online and coaching journalists online. What are some options for marketing those two businesses? Number one, I would say social media. Again, I don't know if you have a budget or not, but I've never paid for advertising for my company. So that's what I'm telling you firsthand. You don't need to. You can, I mean, I know a lot of people that do, and they pay for SEO and they pay for Google ads. And I mean, I've had a lot of clients that way, but I'm letting you all know you don't need to. So for you, there is something I've seen a lot of consultants do called the Stan store, STAN store. And you can actually put a link on your Instagram for one-on-one coaching and get your brand out there that way. That might be something you'd be interested in doing, but I would also just post on social media. The way I got started was just like posting a lot. Social media was just starting and I would host events. Events are a great way to get your name out there, or what your business is. You could just do like an education seminar. at a bar on an off night, and usually bars are nice enough to offer a free drink ticket and some food. I mean, it's really that easy. Events are a great way to get your name and brand known. And you could also at those events get people to sign up for your email list to start growing your list. I mean, that's all I used to do. And then I kind of grew that way. Networking events are key. Like I'm going to a networking event tonight. Relationships are everything. Honestly, if you don't have relationships, it's hard to flourish. So I know there's a lot of people that don't like to do it. I do, but I get it because sometimes, it can get exhausting. But I know there's a lot of people, like my sister, for example, she's a lawyer, but she's like, "Ugh, I hate it. I hate doing that." But honestly, I wouldn't have gotten to where I am now if it wasn't for relationships. And you can meet people on Zoom these days. You don't always have to go out and about. Um, Someone talked about putting the fundamentals of assembling a press release together and choosing an appropriate venue to submit it to. Yeah, it goes back to, if you don't want to do a press release, I would do a media alert. Media alerts are easier. It's just like who, what, when, where, why. That's it. And you have your information at the top and a good subject line and title, and break it down that way. That's an easier way to do a press release. The press release is the same way. It just may have a quote and have a little bit more like meat to it. But doing a media alert is a great way to let them know what's going on and highlighting the most important part. Choosing a venue, it really depends. I mean, I would try all of them. I would try TV, radio, magazines, podcasts, newspapers. I mean, why not? Why not? My podcast is called Live Without a Net. It's for entrepreneurs like you all who, I've never had a net or security, so I've created my own and I have to. So if anyone knows it better on what you guys are going through, it's me. I mean, I still do it today. So I always have to get my own clients plus do everything. So I mean, I get it more than anyone. But I would love if you guys want to be on. It's on Spotify and Apple, and I'm starting to do them more. I like sharing people's stories. So Live Without a Net. So it's for all of you who even may have a job but are transitioning to not. It's for those people who are letting go of that security net in order to survive. Let me see. In tech world, are magazines still a good resource? Yeah, because there's a lot of trade magazines that are good that I have clients that want to be in. And there's a lot of digital trades online. So yes, that's a yes. What's a good lead to catch for a commercial cleaning service? It could just be like, again, I wish I knew like what kind of, are you just cleaning every kind of company out there, or is it casinos, or is it manufacturing firms? I think that would help me, unless it's just like every kind of building under the sun. Let me know. Let's see. Someone asked about a life coach business, a good lead. When you're saying transitional life coach, I mean, there's so much on that these days on wellness. It could really be, I don't know, training your subconscious mind, because I think what's really interesting with that, I listened to a podcast this morning, is that your brain doesn't know like whether something is real, even if it's imagined, it believes and acts the same, whether something is happening or not. So I think it's really interesting that you can train your subconscious mind to want something that you don't have and to actually make it happen. That's what like The Secret was based around, and the law of attraction. So I think that's interesting. I always think of like, what's the most interesting to hook people? Someone with a spiritual business, singer, songwriter, clairvoyant. How can I use media PR? I would ask an influencer. I like the clairvoyant healer. I would ask an influencer or someone on TV that you would give them a free reading and ask them to run a story. Like, I think that'd be really cool. You pick who you want, whether it's an online influencer or a TV reporter, and say like what you can do for their aura or their spiritual being or their emotional being, and say you can demonstrate it live. Okay, pitching a natural biopesticide to help honeybees. I met a really cool beekeeper at the home show crowdfund, and everyone wants to save honeybee. Oh, that's really cool. This beekeeper was so cool that I met, I think that you're in the right business. I don't know if you're comfortable doing like YouTubes and things like that, but, and there is one woman on TikTok. She literally like picks out the queen bee out of all these bees. I don't know how she does it, but I'm just saying you're made for social media. You're made for like a TV show. So you got to use it. Um, crowdfunding. Yeah, crowdfunding, from what I know, and I did something with my nephew yesterday just to kind of show him on a GoFundMe campaign. But I've done GoFundMe before for my niece who died and raised like $80,000. But I know a lot of people in business who crowdfund, and it really comes down to marketing. So you have to have a great video, a great story, and a great network. But I think that you really have something. You just need to visually tell your story. I don't know if that helps you. Okay, there's someone that wants to grow a fundraising company that ships imported flower bulbs. And that's really cool. I bought bulbs at the home show from a company, from a Dutch company. I bought a lot of them. You would love a new way to present how to help groups earn monies. I think you should do something like at the home and garden show. I mean, I can connect you to the people, but you could have a table anywhere, or you could host your own event. And that way you're in front of group leaders and reach out to different churches, schools. I mean, if we ever have a client where we have to reach out to like different police, fire, hospitals, school, we do it organically. So we build our own lists and we reach out, and you'd be surprised how many people want to participate and get involved, especially when it's something it looks like that yours is possibly partially nonprofit, which will help. And then the pitch can be short. It doesn't have to be that long. I would say 4 paragraphs at most. Extra media attached. Yes, if you have photos or videos, that helps. I would embed it rather than attach. I learned it a long time ago. You only get, not even 30 seconds to hook these people. So embed it in the email rather than attach it, because they're most likely not going to click. And I would say 4 paragraphs is enough. It can be a little bit longer, but you just want to hook them. They're scanning for like the most important parts, and then the rest are kind of just like scanning over. Like you just want the most important parts to stand out and get their attention, and then get them to want to know more. Yeah, for a food truck, yeah, if you're looking for free social media, interns are great. I have contacts at a lot of the different schools in the area, but yeah, you can definitely start with an intern. It's great if they can get credit so you don't have to pay them, and then you can start doing social media that way. But there's so many food trucks out there that have really cool social media, but that's a way to do it on a budget. Um, a nonprofit, that's really easy to get the attention of a journalist. I would just need to know what kind of nonprofit, but they love nonprofits, trust me. They love it. Even if your event doesn't have a nonprofit component, I always tell clients to add a nonprofit component. So an event, I would say add an event so you can let the journalists know when to come out. And then I'm reading about Donna Marie Teas to offer delicious and nutritious drink options. I have friends on Fox 5. They're two of my best friends work there. I can help you. If you want to send it to me, I can help you get coverage. They have the Lion Hour. I think it's at 11 a.m. So I can help you with that one. But basically it's the same thing I told you before. If you're doing it yourself, you just have to write a good press release, have a good story, offer the product to media. You could even send it to influencers and just ask them to do posts in exchange for your product. Are there any sources where you can find the contact information for reporters from multiple organizations? Yeah, I mean, I use Meltwater. It's not, but there's a million. There's Muckrack, there's Cision, there's so many, but they're going to want you to pay. I mean, the best I could say is you can ask for a trial period and try to grab the contacts that way in the trial period. That's one possible way. Sometimes they're strict with it, sometimes they're not. You have Nashville's only men's spa. Where could we start? Oh, Nashville. That's a great area. That's a good niche. I would start with like your local TV morning shows there. I've had friends work on them. I mean, they should love something like that. That would have been like a good Valentine's Day pitch. Um, it could be, but men, I mean, that's such a good niche. I feel like I would start with morning shows and then features. I've been in Nashville, but I'm not sure like what your downtown. I'm sure there's like a little downtown newspaper on Broadway or something. I would target them as well. Um, but you want to think of like when men can relax. You could think like, after a good workout or on a Friday happy hour before the weekends. There's so many different things that you could get behind for that. Yeah, I'm trying to think, like even like Movember, I don't know, I'm just thinking of like men related months. That would always help you, but I would start with local TV and like entice them. Like say you can work on one of their male anchors and you're going to give them like a shave or a drink, a massage, whatever you guys actually do. Um, I'll give my company's information at the end. Someone said they're trying to start a podcast with many struggles. Um, so I just started mine in COVID out of nowhere. So you need a publishing site. I use Castos, Castos. And then from there, I recorded on Zoom, but there's a lot of different sites out there you can record on. Odyssey. There's also, I think it's called Riverside. I was going to use it recently. And then when you're done recording, you can do video or you could just do the audio. It'll save an MP3. And then if you want it edited, I send it to an editor at Fiverr. And then one of the girls that works for me does my videos, but you don't need any of that. You can just download the MP3, then load it onto Castos, and then it'll publish to Spotify and Apple. Or just Spotify or just Apple is pretty simple. I mean, there's so many podcasts today, but then, you just have to market it. But as long as you have a good story, I mean, just start doing it. There's no reason to wait, just being honest. What if there is a group that doesn't agree with what you're selling and are pushing for change? I write children's books, and here's a growing trend against. So my business might be slowing. How can I advertise without offending them? I mean, for example, like my niece that died, it's there's something called Caden's Law that my family got behind, and it's about to go to the governor's desk as a law. Um, she was a child. There's a lot of people that were up in arms about the law. Does it even matter? It might work to your advantage. It worked to our advantage. So I wouldn't worry about offending them. We offended a lot of people, I think, but it doesn't matter because we're becoming a law in at least 4 states now. The commercial cleaning was in medical offices. So medical offices, that's a big one. I would work on just like what you're cleaning up in terms of, like I said, disease, allergies, etc., and how allergies are a big issue this year and how you're combating that. How far ahead should you send a media release if you're having an event? 2 weeks at the most, because it depends, like unless it's a magazine with a big lead time, I would do it within 2 weeks because sometimes I have to do it within a day, within a few days, and I still can get coverage there. So I would say, but the best rule of thumb, I would say 2 weeks gives you enough time to send it out and then do follow-ups. Once you send it, you can start follow-ups the next day. I don't see a big deal because you're basically saying, hey, I just want to remind you about this event I have. You can add another line or two and then say the full press release is below. That's what I do. Someone's throwing an event for the youth, music and entrepreneurship. You could have student ambassadors. Can you reach out to different schools and have different student ambassadors sign up 14 to 24-year-olds? I would definitely target schools and their music teachers. If any have entrepreneurship programs for them to blast it, I would reach out to as many local schools as possible, or even youth groups on social media. I joined a lot of groups yesterday on Facebook, and you can reach out to them. It really shouldn't be hard for you to get 75 if you're contacting people who have lists and who already have these programs, and then also if you're reaching out on social. Yes, I'm happy to send all my press releases. Also on my website, there's some press releases. I try to update them on the homepage. How do you reach out to churches? We reach out to churches individually, and try to find out the contacts and then just build lists that way. Dog trainer. Yeah. Oh my God. I think if you're a dog trainer, because I have a dog, he's Maverick, he's huge, and I still can't handle him, and I got him in COVID. Um, but I think he goes on this dog adventure 3 times a week, and this guy picks him up in a doggy limo, and he plays with with other dogs and comes back. But he has no social media, and I'm like, oh my gosh, you should definitely be using social media for training. You can use YouTube, you can use social media. I would use social media. You forget the ad. I would showcase what you do. You can use my dog if you want. I mean, honestly, um, you really, I don't know if you necessarily need an ad. Postcards are great, they're just expensive. Direct mail is expensive unless you're gonna drop them off in people's mailboxes, which you could probably do. Um, but I think social media is the best bet, and then word of mouth. Because the amount of times I've asked for a trainer, I'm asking for referrals from people. But social media, like, people love animals. You need to be all over social media. And if you don't have time, get an intern or someone to record you while you're training and put it out there. Because I mean, so many people need trainers. I even asked someone this week and they were like, oh, you love my trainer. Um, I just think you have to showcase your skills. How do you get the word out for a new women's fashion label? Um, and outlets like QVC, it's the same way, but I would do an event like a fashion show, and I would add a charity component. And I would also reach out to the people who do Philly Fashion Week if you're in this area and try to get involved. Um, Outlets like QVC are a little bit harder. I think you want to get in contact with the people who pitch the brands to QVC. That's who you want more, because they're the ones that go to the buyers at QVC to get things bought. But I do have some contacts I've met over the years, but if you look on LinkedIn, it's more, you want those folks that can get you, because they're going to be pitching your product to QVC, and then, obviously various models would wear it potentially. And someone's starting an entertainment company that goes into clients' homes and shows them games. Oh, that's cool. That would be fun. What kind of games? You could do for the home show, that would be good to showcase your skills. We had a woman there that has something called Dream Huts, and she basically just has sleepovers for boys and girls and creates like these dream sleepovers for them. There was also someone that's called like Philly Pop-Up Picnics, that she would set up picnics everywhere in people's backyards or parks or wherever they wanted. But again, like, if you're not at a home show, for example, I would pitch like morning reporters on TV, and maybe you just show them a video from your phone on how you host these games. You don't need like a professional video camera crew, and let them know, like, Friday nights at home, like, I don't know, we we play Uno, and I'm sure you do something much more fun than that, spades or something. Showcase what you do, like show them on video so they can see it, and then say you want to come in the morning show and play games there so people know that they can do it at home. You have to think outside the box and be creative. Someone said Irish dry grocery items. PR web. I don't think PR web works that well. That's just in my opinion. You're not going to get good quality. So if you use a wire service, is what it is. I usually don't recommend my clients to do it unless they're a national company and have a big budget, because what we do is organic reach out, but when it's the wire, it could be up to $1,000, whether it's like a national release or not. But all it's doing is reprinting the press release on back end sites. So it'll be like, oh, you were on the NBC, CNN, but you're really not. You're on a back end site. A lot of startups do that, but it means nothing. What we do is like provide the actual organic story of the whole segment or the outlet. Like, I get it. I would say wire is good for SEO if you want people to Google your company and then be like, oh, it comes up, even though it's just a reprint of the press release on all these different sites. Like, okay, if that's going to help you. But for the most part, that's not a true organic story that's going to give your company credibility. So you can use it, but I think your best way is to reach out on your own. I'm just being honest, to get their attention. Because PR web, no, it's just a wire service. Like I said, it's good for SEO. It's not good for getting the kind of stories you want. Someone's saying their podcast is everything everywhere. She receives hundreds of pitches. You need to give editors a reason to look twice. She's right. Check your grammar, spelling, and attitude before you send a pitch. She's correct. Be courteous. We love to receive exciting pitches, but pushy and rude are turnoffs. That's correct. Yeah, you got to be like classy about it. That's what I always say, like classy and persistent. What is good PR to start doing before launching a book? Um, I did a book with a bunch of women once, but I've helped authors time to time. So it's hard, like, because you can imagine how many authors are out there to constantly be like, hey, this morning show have me on, this morning show have me on this. So with that, I would do a lot of podcasts because there are a lot of podcasters that are interested in telling your story about what your book's about. That would be my go-to first, plus obviously social media. And if there's a way, like we gave money, like for every download for our book on Amazon, we gave money back to charity. That helps too. But it is hard because unless you're like a successful author with multiple titles under your belt, it's hard to say get on a big national platform. But I would go after every podcaster, plus I would talk about your book on social media. I would also post it on different groups on social media and add that charity component because that will really help in terms of giving back. Let's see. So someone said putting something in somebody's mailbox without a stamp is illegal. I know that. I know, but I've still done it. I've been on boards for the Stroke Council and to raise money about stroke awareness. And even though like you weren't supposed to leave posters in Starbucks, you'd be surprised if you go in and ask. Some have like a cork board. Some will say, sure, leave it by the window. So yeah, I know what you're saying. It's illegal, but hey, if you don't have a budget and you're willing to try, I would try. I mean, we've done it. And like I said, if you're uncomfortable going to people's houses, I get it, but then try the local coffee shops because some will be really nice and help share your company, your story, etc. Let's see. Someone said, can you please share opportunities to attract parents of current college athletes to join an online membership? So parents, I mean, I would go after the fundraisers at the different college levels and see how willing they are to help you. They probably wouldn't give you their contacts, but maybe you guys can team up for an event together. You never know. I would just, it's all, reaching out to the right person and seeing who'll help you. Getting in touch with the different athletic directors would help too, because they probably have their own email list. And even though they won't share it with you, they could still send the opportunities for you. Someone said, we've been able to partner with a funeral home, but are really interested in targeting lawyers. I would target lawyers then. Can't you just reach out and create your own list? I mean, honestly, it's really all it is creating relationships and it's just time, which I know a lot of you may not have, but you can have an intern do it for you. But I would reach out and try to find the best lawyers. And sometimes my sister's a lawyer. I just know sometimes one lawyer can send a whole email to your law firm and they know someone and your list just builds from there. Let's see. Someone talked about improv. That's a great, I mean, I could see Fox 29 loving that. That was the last question I think I see on here. I don't know if anyone has any more, if there's ways I could help you, but my company is Jenna Communications. Someone just asked me, any ideas about how I would go about adding a fundraiser to my improv? So I would say, so if it's like $100 to come to your home, I'm sure it's more than that, but you know what I'm saying? I would just give like 10%, you know, or a portion of proceeds from the whole weekend to a certain charity of your choice. And then you could talk about it that way, that we come to your home, you know, we do improv, we help you get out of your awkwardness. And, you know, also 10% goes to this charity, you know, but it should be a charity that's near and dear to your heart. Someone talked, can you share how to set up interns? Yeah, you don't, it's just credit. Sometimes I pay, but sometimes I just provide credit, and you just have to have a plan for them and certain amount of hours, and then you fill out things during the semester for them. But no, you don't always have to pay. How do my service offerings work? So we typically do it on a retainer, no less than 3 months, but we also do project fees if it's an event or like a restaurant opening. Philadelphia Marathon was my client for years, so it just depends. Like that would be more a like a project fee. And interns, so every local college, we have different lists, and like, you know, we'll obviously go after communications or journalism, marketing type professors, but it depends on your business. There's so many resources if you reach out to the different colleges. And honestly, like if you email the wrong contact the first time, they'll put you in the right direction of who you should talk to get interns. Sometimes there is just an internship department. Like at Temple, we do a Client Connect. How do you go about having a healthcare in different counties? Um, I would pick a location or local high schools like in each county, and then reach out to the schools, see if they say yes. And then once they say yes, you can start marketing it. You kind of need a venue that makes sense for what you're trying to get across or what you're trying to do. And then I would pick someone that has a good list. So whenever I work with a charity, I pick, like we did a restaurant opening in November and I had to pick a charity. So I picked a charity that had a good board, a good list, because think they might have 100,000 contacts on their email list, and that's only going to help you. So that's what I do. I always think like, who would be my best partner to get the word out about this? A professor told you you're obligated to pay interns? No, you're not. That's interesting. He probably means without a credit, I'm guessing, because there's plenty of ways to do it when they're getting credit and you're working with their professors and they're getting graded. So yeah, that's wrong. Any other questions? I can start talking about my company in the meantime, and then I can email everyone like a presentation and the 7 steps after. But my website's Jenna Communications, and my name is Jennifer Sherlock. So it's jennacommunications.com. You should be able to access, well, you can see my podcast on jennifersherlock.com, but you should be able to my podcast from Jenna Communications. But it should have samples of my press releases and clients and everything on there. We're always updating it. Yeah, so I'm happy to, I'll have to email the moderator, I believe, and maybe she can pass everything to you guys. But yeah, hopefully I helped you all today. I know it seems like a lot, but if you get in the groove and you start getting pressed for yourself or your company, you'll get more confident, and then you'll just keep doing it because you're going to like it. Why wouldn't you like it? You become an expert in your field, a thought leader, and you'll see that you can do it yourself. You don't need a PR firm like me to help you. Oh, good. I'm glad I gave you a lot of insights. But yeah, if anyone else has any questions. Yes. I'm just waiting for someone's question. Reach out to professors to set up an intern. Yeah, I mean, I would. I would reach out and and they'll send you to the right, because I've had to, like, sometimes I don't always have the right contact. And then like for Temple, I know what to do, but some schools, like, it changes at Villanova, etc. So like, yeah, but if I don't have the right contact, I reach out to someone like a professor for the right contact, and trust me, they have no problem email introducing me to them. Do they assign them? So typically you have to provide an intern description, And then they blast it out. There's also a great website called handshake.com. We just used it yesterday, and it will send what you're looking for to all these different schools at once. And then the ones that are interested will reach back out. So we did this yesterday, and I had like 4 reach out. So handshake.com. Um, and that's it. But think of an internship description first, because whoever you reach out to, they're going to ask for that. And then they kind of shop it around. And then the interns that are interested, will tell the professor. And then you guys will take it from there. And then if you like them, then they'll start working for you. He told you kids, I mean, that's not true. I mean, they don't want to work for free these days, but they do, especially if they're getting credit or they're really interested in your business. An estimated range for the 3-month retainer, it just depends. It could be like 5,000 a month. It just depends what the client wants. And then project fees are all different. It could range from like 2,500 to 7,500 or more. What do your media training services look like for individuals? That's more one-on-one. That would be more like an hourly rate. It's just coaching them to get them more comfortable on camera, like if they're going up for a TV interview, and then practicing with them so they're more comfortable before they get that interview. Any advice for a nonprofit planning an event 3 years out? Yeah, you would have to do social media and do like different teases and get them excited. And like on this date, you're going to announce this. And then on that date, you're going to announce this, and like just have a build up for it. And someone said, my friend wants to have an ice cream and lunch restaurant because ice is not served all year long. How would you do that? Why couldn't you do it just like that? Even though ice cream's not served all year long. I mean, just think of like Friendly's used to have food besides, I think it's still around, food besides ice cream. So I think you can do that. How many hours does it take to obtain comfortability? Um, I don't know. I would say not that long. Uh, I would say like within 5 hours, 5 sessions. I mean, it's really not that long. I think the best way is to video or record them and then play it back and then go over what they could have said better, etc. And then once they have the first interview, most clients are really excited and then they want to do it again. Yes, I believe this will be recorded to send to everyone. I think that's everything for now, but I can keep answering questions.
While everyone is putting in any additional questions they may have, I'm going to post a survey link that is for questions. And again, we will be sending all attendees a copy of the recording within a follow-up email that's sent 2 to 3 business days, and any presentation or handouts that may be available.
Yeah, I'll send that.
And again, we apologize for the delay, and we'll see if there's any more questions that may come before we end the webinar.
Okay. Someone said that the stewards, oh, historic Laurel Hill. I was up there once for it was like a dinner en blanc, but it was a dinner en noir. It's amazing up there. It's beautiful up there. What happens if there's a conflict of interest with the clients hiring you for your services? So it depends. Like for me, if it's in a contract that I can only work with, say, one wealth manager, then you have to weigh it. Is it worth it or not? But if it's worth it, I say yes. I'm trying to think if there's anyone that I missed. Yeah, of course. I'm here to help. I like helping people, so it's the least I can do. And I've been through it all, so it's definitely not impossible, put it that way. I might start a website, prfromhome.com. I bought it in COVID. I haven't done it yet, but it would be, giving information like this to people. And I will send, like I said, the 7 tips and presentation about Handshake. Yeah, we use Handshake a lot over the years. We just used it yesterday. You don't need to advertise, you just put an intern description. There's probably ways, I don't think there's a way, I don't pay for it. Indeed, I know you can pay for it, but I don't even pay for that. Yeah, of course. I'll help you guys. Yeah, of course. Happy to help. I have a networking event tonight, so always be networking. What type of work do your interns do? I have them do everything. I have them write for me. I mean, I have to check all the writing, their social media posts, because sometimes we write the post for clients, then the client has to approve it. So I check all of their work, but I have them do everything I do because it's the only way. Like when I was in college, I went to Villanova, I interned at Channel 6 and Channel 17, and the only way I learned TV was by doing. I'm not saying everyone's like me, but I try to make them do it because I feel like that's the best way to learn. And the only way you get better is by writing or doing things over and over again, in my opinion. But I get excited when they get news placements themselves. Oh yeah, the wire services. Yeah. I mean, unless my client is like national and has a big budget, then I say yes, because then they're getting organic press from me and then they're getting the wire hits from, but it's good for SEO. You're not getting true stories. You're not. You're just getting a reprint of your press release on all these back end sites. And like I said, if you have the money, okay. But that's not like you're going to send it to your friend and be like, look at this story. Like you're only going to do that when you get TV segments and you're a guest on someone's podcast and you're in this magazine and you're in this newspaper. That is what you're going to be excited about. Yep, broadcast, online, and print training, sure. Yeah, absolutely. There's so many different, especially TV reporters like I used to be, that do it nowadays as well. It's all just getting comfortable and being asked on the spot, recording. You probably could do it yourself if you wanted to, but it always helps. I'd rather have a person ask me questions and then practice and go over what to say, what not to say, then do it again and again and again. Mine's on Spotify and Apple. You can get it on jennifersherlock.com, which is my website where I put them out. But they're on Spotify and Apple, and it's called Live Without a Net. An intern description, sure. I have them. It basically like says the hours, what they'll do, etc., to get them excited to work for you, basically, and what they would learn from you. If I were to use a podcaster to get my story out, do I have to be on camera? No, I do mine video because I feel like people are more interested in video, but I do the video to hook people to listen to the audio. But no, you can just do straight audio. You don't need video. I mean, I come from the video world, so obviously I like it, but you don't need that. Just talk and then use social media with like graphics and your guests. Or you could just video the guests and use them. You don't have to be on it. If you tell things about your life, yeah, I need to do that better because my friends are like, oh, when you walk Maverick or when you garden or when you run, why don't you talk about that on your social media? And I don't. I usually just put up like the glamorous events I'm at, but I need to work on that myself. I think authenticity is key. And I think the more authentic you are, the more you get people. So I need to work on it myself. I think that, yeah, even not like just being in your day-to-day clothes and talking, like I said, I need to get better at it. But people, I think, like that more than just like perfection. Well, that's good. You're not ashamed anymore. You shouldn't be. People like vulnerability and they connect with that. So honestly, I bet you I could blow up my Instagram overnight if I started being more vulnerable. So I think that that's the key for any of us. Anything else? You all can email me too, and I can help there if that helps. If I didn't answer any of your questions. If you didn't like something I say, you can email me that too. I'm open to criticism.
All right, we're not seeing any more questions. Again, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to Jen directly or forward your questions to the SBDC at Temple email, and we will connect you with Jen. There's one question. Would you be open to receiving
Sure.
our pitches?
Yeah, sure. I can tell you what you're doing wrong or what you're doing right. Yeah, that's fine. And the
Thank
flip
you.
side, yeah, that's fine too.
Thank you everyone for joining us today. Again, apologies for the delay. The follow-up email will be sent with all materials. If you have any questions, again, you can direct them to Jen or send it to the SBDC at temple.email address. Thank you, Jen, for presenting.
course.
And there is, Jen, could you put your email address in the
Oh, sure.
chat for us, please? Thank you. And we will also share the email address in the follow-up email, just in case you didn't grab it from the chat. Just gonna copy that because it's set to host some panelists. Okay, so everyone, again, thank you for joining us. Thank you, Jennifer, for presenting today, and we hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.